Welcome to Heroes Rising, hosted by Sifu Rafael, a master instructor, public speaker, and the founder of Speaking Prowess. Known for his expertise in empowering individuals through the art of communication and leadership. Alongside him is co-host Jose Escobar, an acclaimed personal development speaker, 18-time published author, and founder of 2 thriving businesses, including the Connected Leaders Academy. Together, they bring you dynamic conversations with world-class entrepreneurs, industry icons, and visionaries. Heroes Rising is your go-to source for wisdom, motivation, and unstoppable growth. Join us and discover the hero within you.
Good afternoon. Happy Halloween. I just wanted to share that with everybody. It is a spooky time of the year. It is the time where kids go trick-or-treating and they get all kinds of candy, which we gotta, as parents, we gotta make sure we're not letting our kids eat all the candy at once. They're gonna have a bellyache. So, but I wanted to just share with you and say happy Halloween. And my co-host Jose should be on temporarily, but I have some real treats for you. It is Halloween and there's no tricking today on our part. So we have incredible guests who are coming on. And guess what? These are treats. So we have Sergeant Major Rob Lytle, we have Robert Lee, and we have Kelly K. Walker. Thank you so much. Happy Halloween. Thank you for being here with us. How are you all?
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
All right. So today we're talking about leadership unleashed, turning purpose into power. I'm going to leave that on the floor and let somebody pick up the mic. Who's got that?
I'll
Go for it. Yes,
I'll
please.
spring for it. Turning purpose into power. I feel like if we live a life not knowing our purpose, we are powerless. So it is really important to find your purpose. And I feel like a lot of people really struggle with that. You know, they don't know what their purpose is. They don't know why they're here. They feel lost and confused and just kind of unanchored. So I think that it's a really good topic. I'm very excited we're talking about it today.
Yeah.
And I would offer your power is kind of your purpose is your power. So once you find your purpose, that is natural empowerment because you get rejuvenated enthusiasm as you pursue it.
Absolutely.
And once, from my perspective, once you know God's prophetic destiny for what he's called you to do, then you can walk in freedom and power in your purpose. And so to me, that's empowering to know what God's best is for our lives. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the fact that everybody has their own little opinion, not little, I didn't mean to put it down, but everybody has their own opinion of what it means because it is different for every individual. We all look at leadership, we all look at power, we look at purpose so differently, yet somehow we have to align, right? At the end of the day, for us to be able to shine more, we have to align with what leadership truly means to every one of us. And everybody talked about a different little aspect of what it means. I have a little idea of it. And to me, when you unleash leadership, it's the potential inside of you that allows us to be a leader. Sergeant Major, that's a huge leadership deal if you think about it, right? You didn't become a sergeant major just the day you enlisted. That took some work, some negotiations, if you will, in your life. So would you mind sharing a little bit of that journey with us?
Absolutely. Once again, my name is Sergeant Major Rob Lytle. I joined the Marine Corps in 1997, before 9/11, before the war had kicked off or any of that. And I'm originally from Asheville, North Carolina, a nice little city up in the west part of the state of North Carolina in the mountains, a tourist attraction, very diverse, very religious. And so I grew up there, left home, grew up in poverty, for lack of a better term, not really not really without love or any kind of abusive relationships or anything, but really I was a have-not. So I really wanted to pursue something to get me out of that, and I really didn't have any scholarships or means of getting to college. So the military was going to be a one-stop shop. I was going to do an enlisted and try to get to college fund, gain some skills along the way, but I didn't score well on the ASVAB, so all I really qualified for was infantry. So I joined the Marine Corps as a young private, and went to Parris Island, South Carolina, and that's when I really started understanding what standing on my own 10 toes was going to be about. So we talk about turning purpose into power. I really had not known what my purpose was, and I still didn't as I was going through this journey we call life and going my route, which was the military. As I interacting with different people along the way from different backgrounds, different parts of this place we call the United States, I realized that we had a lot more in common with people that we didn't know than we thought, than I had originally thought. So what I did was I got an opportunity to do different people who had different experiences, and it led me to my purpose. And I realized one of my best things I'm actually good at and I like doing is helping other people reach their full potential while I am reaching my own. And I realized by within the first 4 years, that probably was my purpose. And the military gave me a vehicle to do that. I really like helping people achieve goals, and I'm a goal setter. I like to achieve things myself. I live a life of servitude. So we're talking about turning power into purpose. My purpose began to help others at the same time grow on a consistent basis myself. So I ended up serving 23 years in the military and served in multiple different duty stations all across the U.S. and abroad. It took me to 37 different countries. I had the opportunity to serve in combat, lead Marines in combat in Afghanistan and Iraq. And I realized that, this life that God gives us is very precious. Our time is very limited, and there's no better way for me to spend it than serving others.
I appreciate that. And thank you for your service, by the way. That 23 years it's not a hobby, 23 years. It's a commitment, right? So thank you for that. Kelly, you understand from everything that you've been doing, right? So talk to us about what has leadership done for you personally?
I started out in 2017 at age 50 having I had an experience. I had a complete transformation where I went from being a graphic designer who was depressed. I got fired, and I ended up at a personal development seminar, and it broke me open. And I hadn't realized how sadly I was living, how poorly I was living. And what you focus on grows. And so I finally learned that lesson at age 50, and I started focusing on different things. And as I did so, I went to lots and lots of events here in Utah, and I met hundreds and hundreds of people, and they all kind of went with me in this transformation because we were going to these events together. And I ended up, not on purpose, but ended up kind of being a leader accidentally, because I started doing the things that scared me. Anything that scared me, I knew was something I was supposed to do. And it led me down a path of becoming a leader without ever meaning to. And so I have lots of followers, fans, friends, family members that are inspired by the things that I do. And I share them. I post them. I also post about my struggles. I post about my fails in addition to my wins and the things I'm excited about. And, before this, I would never have posted something embarrassing about myself. And I would probably also never post something that I felt like I was bragging about. I would just post about jokes and things like that. So I feel like the transformation I went through kind of thrust me into a leadership position that I could have resisted. I could have said no. I could have kind of kept low and kept hiding. But because it scared me to step into that, I stepped into it, because I feel like when God has a path for you that he knows is going to help you, it's going to probably feel a little bit scary. So if it scares me, that means that's the direction I need to go. And also, it's probably going to help the people that are watching me, because people are always watching you. A lot of you are probably leaders and don't even know it, because people are always watching you, and your decisions make an effect on other people's decisions. You know, sometimes we just lead the way without even realizing it. And I feel like if we embrace the path laid out for us, we go towards the things that scare us in a good way, not in a bad way. If something scares you in a bad way, it's probably a warning not to do it. But if it scares you in a good way, run towards it. Make the leap.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for that. Thank you for
You're
that.
welcome.
Robert, Robert Lee, I was wondering, how long have you been a pastor? Because that's leadership right there. You have people who come to you on a regular basis, and they're looking for the guidance that you have. Sergeant Major, you didn't have people who necessarily said, yeah, I'm here. They had no choice, right? So there's a little bit of a difference. But Robert Lee, people come to you by choice, right? So
Well,
talk to us about that, if you don't mind.
absolutely. I volunteered. I'm a volunteer. So quick, backstory to fill in is, I became born again when I was 6 years old, filled with the Holy Spirit in my prayer language when I was 13. And ever since I was empowered then, I found ways where I could serve in the local church to help. Helped in the youth. I became a youth pastor when I was 22 years old to help while I was going to college at Florida State. It was a non-paying job. I did it because I wanted to help the kids. But I guess ever since then, I've been involved in ministry every day, every year since 1992, if you will, or 91. I mean, I would speak at churches around 91, 92, all around the panhandle of Florida. But as it led up to this day, we've always had a growth group in our home. We've always, I was a teacher at our local church and things of the word, because I was blessed to grow up in a household that taught the word of God every day. But, you become attractive with being a carrier of his presence. So that to me was the most significant thing, is that people want to be around someone who spends time with the Lord, because they know that they're going to get, I would hope, wisdom and godly counsel. So, having been a pastor, if you will, licensed pastor, because, at the end of the day, we're all ministers in some capacity in some area. We all minister and encourage people. Sergeant Major ministered to his men with an iron fist, but he ministered to them to become the best Marines they could. And by the way, my son was a Marine, or always is a Marine. He served as well. So he's your brother. So, so again, having the honor and the duty to serve others who come to you who are hurting, that to me is a privilege. Serena Williams and many others said pressure is a privilege. Well, empowering people is a privilege. Helping them out of their funk or out of their situation that they know is not God's best for them, to me is very encouraging. Even maybe more so for me than it is for them, but just to see them, where they were before and kind of guide them through that process of healing and hope and restoration. That to me is taking what the enemy was intending as a bad purpose, to break up a marriage, to break up a relationship, to, have that person go inward rather than outward, then turning it into a godly purpose, empowers that person to be exactly who God made them to be, which is free. Free in him. So I could go on and on, but, being a pastor is an honor. My wife, Cheryl, we do this together at Yeshua House of Fire in Tampa, Florida. And we love to just be a blessing to others. And that to me is a high honor. So.
A high honor of leadership, for sure. Yeah. When we think about how we can empower someone And I have a friend of mine who's a coach, and she hates the word empowering others. And I said to her, why? She goes, because I cannot put the power in them. The power has to be within them. And I said, ooh, I agree with that. And I like that so much that I started talking deeper into it with her. And so when we consider, we can encourage someone to be empowered,
Right.
but we can't empower them, right? We can encourage them, we can show them the way, but they still need to lead themselves. So when people decide to engage in an activity, it's should be their own calling, right? Um, unless you're in the military, sometimes it's the calling of the government. So, but you, Sergeant Major Rob, you chose to stay for 23 years, right? That was your choice. It wasn't because you have a re-enlistment time every so often, right? That you chose to, like, I'm going to stick it out. I'm going to stay here. I like what I'm doing. I like where I'm going. I'm enjoying this. But at one point you said, I've done enough of this. I need to lead myself somewhere else. So then you didn't re-sign up. So what did that look like for you? And then right after you answer that, we're going to ask Kelly. You chose to get out of your comfort zone, and you still do it today. So thank you for that. And then tell us a little bit about that. So Sergeant Major, if you can go first.
Absolutely. So transition from the military. I went in 97 and I got out right before COVID struck us in 2020, literally in February. Remember COVID
Mm,
came out in March, February, I literally got out. So I made the decision to leave this service, not because something happened and I decided to get out. My family's rather large. We're very spiritual, very God fearing family, for lack of a better term. And we don't like to be separated. So
mm,
my wife is also a retired service member. She was a Marine as well. And so what it looked like for me is like I said initially, I enjoyed using the military as a vehicle to assist others in reaching their full potential while I continued upward mobility and personal development and growth of my own. What it looked like towards the end is as the sergeant major, the enlisted ranks, I've reached the pinnacle of upward mobility as far as rank wise. I mean, you get more influence, the more, the more commanders you're around, the higher level they are. But pretty much I had reached the pinnacle. And I enjoyed the military service because I got a very diverse group of people from all walks of life that I had the opportunity to learn from, teach, inspire, and grow with. So it was a
mm,
very, very remarkable journey. But as I got older, I realized, I wanted to do a little bit more, and time starts running out. You start having more birthdays behind you than you have ahead of you. And I realized God was calling me. God was calling me to do some different things. So I started pursuing pastoral counseling. I thought I was going to pursue chaplain work initially. I started doing some work in the Methodist church under the Methodist tent, and I really enjoyed that. But God wasn't calling me to the pulpit. He was calling me to continue to do what I was doing, working with others, growing. So I realized I like working with youth, and I like working with people who need to get second chances, like prisoners,
mm,
the least of these. So I started working in the prisons. I started working in the juvenile detention centers, and now I have a contract working as an ROTC instructor with about 150 young students, teaching leadership 5 days a week. So it's been a
wow.
remarkable journey. I'm pursuing a doctor's degree in Christian education, or Christian leadership and education. That helps with my teaching credentials. But the bottom line is God has shot me in a bunch of different directions at the same time, but it's all streamlining towards the same goal of assisting others reach their full potential while I'm on my own journey of reaching my own. And what
Mm,
that does is it puts me in that same upward mobility I experienced in the Marine Corps, except I'm doing out here in the civilian sector, and I get to work with everybody from C-suite level executives to young teenage men trying to figure out what they want to do after high school. Also,
mm,
young female women who want to figure out what they want to do after high school. So this journey has just been incredibly great for me, and I continue with the same mission of assistance and servitude, with the blessing of being able to quit when I want to and take a vacation when I want to.
mm. You no longer have to ask permission to take vacation, right?
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
a good thing. That's a good.
Yeah.
Coach T.O. Says that's outstanding, brother Robert, and he's also a sergeant major. You guys are good friends, right?
Remarkable. We go back almost 22 years now.
Mhm. Beautiful, beautiful.
That's cool. Yeah.
So Kelly, you were gonna share with us as well.
Yeah, about comfort zone. Everything that you want is on the other side of your comfort zone, right?
That's
And
right.
everything that you have is inside your comfort zone. So if there's something in your life that you're not happy with, it's because you're comfortable with it. So I love helping people, especially in speaking, to get out of their comfort zone because I'm a speaking coach. And speaking is one of the biggest fears in the whole world. Most people would rather be in the casket at a funeral than the person giving the eulogy because that is scarier to them than death. So I find it a really fun job because I feel like what I do is mostly help people get out of their comfort zones, get on stage and learn how to share their message in an effective, beautiful way. So I love it. It's one of my favorite hobbies. I think it should be everybody's favorite hobby, getting out of your comfort zone. And I feel like if you've got a message to share with people, usually the biggest obstacle in that is, well, there's two: figuring out how do you share your message, because there's so many platforms today to share a message. And then how do you get over the fear of being judged? Because you know what? You're not really scared of public speaking. You're scared of public judgment. You're
Right.
scared of looking stupid. I mean, that's really what fear of public speaking is. So if you can let go of worrying what people think about you and instead just focus on the joy of getting to change people's lives, the fear just kind of goes away. And then you don't have to deal with that fear of public speaking, even though it's the fear of public judgment.
Oh yeah, for sure. Thank you for that. And welcome, Jose. Jose is also a great leader who's just joining us. He was at another conference, and they held him down, but he escaped, and he's here with us now. So happy to have you, Jose. It's the Leadership Unleashed, turning purpose into power. So everybody's sharing what they feel that has brought in for them. And as a leader yourself, with leading so many people, what does that mean to you?
So I think we are, first of all, I'm glad to be here. And I missed you guys for the last 20 minutes. I was on another event, and I am happy to be with so many amazing leaders here this morning. I know Robert Lee, of course, Sifu Rafael, nice to meet you, Kelly, and Sergeant Major Rob Lytle as well. So in terms of Leadership Unleashed, we all have a leader inside of us, right? The challenge is, are you ready, willing, and able to unleash it? I think that's really what it comes down to. It's just a matter of tapping into what's already there. We all have a certain level of leadership, and obviously there's tiers to this thing. So you have to develop it over time, but it starts with self-leadership, right? We start with ourselves. How are you leading you? And only then, when you're leading yourself at a very high level, can you start to lead others. And others could be people in your household. It could be your family. It could be your friends. It could be your clients that you serve, the employees, all the people in your world, right? So I think that's super important. We have to tap into leadership. I think this world needs more leaders. And again, we all have the ability to be leaders. It's just, are you tapping into it? Are you trying to develop it with intentionality? It does require intentionality to actually unleash it. And turning purpose into power, well, when you're really living your purpose, you become powerful. And powerful is not so much I am in control and I own you, or I'm in charge and all that. That's not so much the power that we're talking about. It's the impact that you're creating via the purpose that you're living into. So I always say, develop your leadership and be intentional about living in your purpose. And The Purpose-Driven Life, Rick Warren, is a great book, right? So you got to identify, what is my purpose? Why am I here? What am I trying to achieve? What is the vision, mission, and purpose of my life? Which is what I was talking about: vision, mission, and purpose. And as you know these things, yeah, with the right leadership that you develop for yourself and living in your purpose, you're going to make more impact in the world, which I think is a brilliant place to be. So that's my 2 cents on that immediately.
Yeah, I love when you said, and Kelly said it earlier, that we all have the capability of being leaders. One of the most memorable times for me is when I asked, I think he was 5 years old, and I said to him, "Are you ready?" He screamed out so loud, "I was born ready." And he's like 4 or 5 years old. And I said, wow, that kid is going to go far because nothing is going to stand in his way. And I think that's when we take the role of leadership. We put that hat on, or that cape on, whatever you want to call it, that we know that we can lead others in a negative way, because there has been some leaders. Look at people who've done wrong by the world. I don't want to start naming people, but we all can probably have somebody in our head who has guided us in a negative way, or guided their people, or have done so much harm to people, and they were leaders. So it's about leading in the right way, the way God wants us to lead. And I love the fact that everybody is does include God in their leadership roles. Um, Lately, I have not met anybody, to be honest with you, and I correct me if I'm wrong. I personally, for me, have not met a leader who doesn't believe in God and something greater than themselves. And I also have never met a leader who is not following another leader, because I always teach that in order to be a great leader, first, you must be a great follower. Thoughts?
Well, Jesus set the standard by being the first, being a servant, and servants learn how to honor those above them, so they become great leaders eventually, because they understand how to treat people, because they started by treating them, treating their leadership the right way. So it starts, and I think Sergeant Major can speak to it better than all of us in his history.
And that's exactly right. Followership and leadership are they're in the same spectrum, and they go hand in hand. And so we talked about what we like to do. I always say I like to lead. I like to lead myself through leading people, because I'm learning through them, and I'm also as a coach. The main goal is to help people learn how to help themselves and develop their own habits, their own methods, their own rituals that's going to bring them up to the standard that they're trying to achieve. So how do I personally do that? I have a method called T.I.M.E, T-I-M-E, and we teach, influence, mentor, and equip. And that's the main focus of effort, is to teach people what they identify their purpose, their goal, and what they're trying to do, and then give them the action steps to achieve that. In order to do that, it's a kind of a continuum. When you teach somebody something and they can learn something from you, you automatically gain a level of influence. And with that influence, and you use that in a positive manner, you're able to mentor them through whatever they're trying to achieve, and you equip them with the tools to do it on their own when they don't need you anymore. So you kind of work yourself out of a job and move on to the next organization or individual to help. But the bottom line is it's just like being Christ-like. At some point, you should have a relationship with God enough that your pastor's just kind of mentoring you. You shouldn't be using him as the conduit with the relationship with God. So that's kind of what you do when you're trying to help individuals achieve success. You're trying to give them on this journey, a self-directed journey, where they're learning the methods of helping themselves so they can stand on their own 10 toes and they don't need you anymore.
Amen. Amen.
I like the time idea.
I like that too. Actually, I wrote that on a piece of paper.
When you hire a coach, you want to hire a coach that also has a coach, don't you think?
Yes.
I feel like I always have a coach at all times. Sometimes I have two.
Me too.
And I think that makes me a better coach. It makes me a better leader, because I am always working on myself with someone who's higher than me, so that I can better help the people that are following me up the path that we're all on together, but at different places. So if you're going to be a good coach, you need to always have a good coach ahead of you.
Well, it's like I'm a
Go
tennis.
ahead.
I'm a tennis player, and I've been playing since I was 17, and I've been a UST captain and all that kind of stuff. And even today, I have a tennis coach who is a former worked at Nick Bollettieri's academy and was coached Andre Agassi and among other famous tennis players in the world. Won't say them all, but he is just a easy guy. But I see him every Saturday morning, almost every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. And we train with a few other adults and just have a great time. But he, I'm not going to go pro, obviously, but I want to still keep my skill set, and challenge myself growing. That's the whole point. I want to keep growing in whatever we do. So having a coach and a mentor and someone I can look up to is even as a married man. I mean, I have another gentleman who, if I have a question about, hey, did I do that right with her? And I say, hey, what do you think? So even the same thing, you want to have that in every facet, because that's how you become, you strengthen yourself internally, and then be a great example for others.
Mm-hmm. For me, and I've hired many coaches, if I'm talking to a coach and they don't have a coach, I'm like, I ask, how come you don't have a coach? You know everything? Really? I get deeper. I go into them. I'm like, what do you know? That you're so good that you don't need any assistance. So at that point, I know that I'm never hiring them, right? Doesn't matter how good they are. Or if I do hire them, maybe it's for the day. Just give me what you got, because after today, you have nothing else to give me, right? So that's why I believe in coaching so strongly that I even have a show called Coaching Call, because it's about expanding your knowledge.
Yes.
But when you empty your bucket, who's filling it for you?
Yep, that's true.
And has anybody ever been to a Chinese restaurant? Not takeout. I'm talking about a restaurant, right?
Mm-hmm.
And have you ever sat in a round table with a bunch of people? Have you ever sat with a master? And the master never pours his own tea, ever. And if he does, that means the person to his left or his right don't deserve to be there. So when I've sat with my masters, you're always attentive to how they are with their teacup or their food. You're always asking, did you have enough? Was that good enough? Did you want something else? And then when their tea is getting, you don't let it get down. You let it get down. You might as well get up and leave right before it gets to this much. And then you pour tea. And one of the things that they do is they tap. It's a silent, no words needed, but that's the honor that you're giving them. So in case you've never been with a master at a Chinese restaurant, that's something to keep in mind.
It's funny you use that. I'm glad you shared that. My father said an old saying right before I left to go in the Marine Corps. I don't know where he got it from. I know it wasn't original because he quoted somebody, but he said, some people see the glass half full and some people see the glass half empty, but it never matters if you're holding the pitcher. And I think that's extremely valuable lesson, because if you're holding the pitcher, you can continuously refill your cup and reach over and fill somebody else's cup. So it's great you use that story to kind of make that point, because that it requires balance. Like, how do you maintain a level of high performance and you don't start going into depression yourself and anxiety yourself and slipping into mental health rabbit holes yourself, as you surround yourself with other masterminds that help you reach your full potential, and you fill their cup up and they fill your cup up, and you continuously, a cup continuously runneth over, for lack of a better analogy. But that's actually true, and that requires a level of balance. T.O. and I talk about it a lot. I call it the 6 F's, or the 6 pillars of balance, but it starts off with faith, family, fitness, finance, future, and what you keep talking about, Sifu, is that freedom. You know, that equips you. All those other five allow you the freedom of movement to do the things that you want to do and do the things that God has called us to do. You can't do well if you don't feel well, and if you're not eating, you're not doing the things you need to do to maintain your own self, you can't help somebody else. You know, you're just kind of in self-support mode. So it's extremely important that we maintain a sense of balance. And I just kind of offer those 6 F's. It's kind of every time one of them gets empty, I might fill it up a little bit more because I'm holding the picture. I might be good physical fitness wise, but my finances might be slipping because we're spending too much money. So you can just kind of look at those 6 things and constantly maintain a balance.
Yeah, for sure. What I'm going to do right now is just play a little video for you guys because we love fun. So take a look.
The city never sleeps, and neither do the dreamers who build its pulse. From every corner of the globe they come. Visionaries, creators, leaders, each carrying a spark ready to ignite the world. This is not an event. It's a revolution of rhythm and reason. A symphony of minds. A movement of momentum. Sifu, Rafael, Lancelot, Escobar. Together they set the stage for brilliance. This is the NYC experience. Mastermind, light up the city. They coming from the east, coming from the west. Knowledge on deck, put the truth to the test. Leaders in motion, hearts in sync, dropping wisdom so deep it'll make you think. They bring stories, sweat and flame, different faces, one shared name. Elevation, that's the sound. NYC experience, mastermind, where purpose is found.
I got to tell you, every time I see that video, I get excited for many things, right? Because we are having a leadership engagement, if you will, right? Robert Lee is going to be one of our esteemed speakers there. Jose and I and Lancelot, when we put this thing together, our mission was to bring like-minded people who can help each other grow and become a better person. So leadership is definitely embedded in the New York City Mastermind experience. Go ahead, Jose. You're going to say something, I can tell. Come on, you know you want to say something, Jose.
Sorry, my computer is lagged, so I was still muted. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on, but my computer is running slow. But anyway, the New York City experience is going to be fantastic. December 6th and 7th. I'm excited to speak there. I'm excited to add value to the room, but also learn and grow, right? How many of us have stopped learning and growing? If you have, that's a problem, right? So I go to events because I want to learn and I want to grow. I also want to build new relationships. And of course, I want to serve the room. So I'm excited to hear from Robert. I'm excited to hear from you, Sifu. As always, you always drop gems. You know why? I know you're going to drop gems because you're a reader. And, the good old saying is leaders are readers, right? But not all leaders are, what is that saying? It's all leaders are readers, but not all readers are leaders. There you go. That's the saying. Good one. So I'm a huge reader myself, right? And I can tell everybody here is well read on some level just because of the gems that are being dropped today. I was taking some copious notes from all of you. Going back to what was said by Kelly, and I'm going to go back to that because yes, I was itching to say something, but I was biting my tongue. Yes, I never hire a coach unless they have a coach. I'm going back to that because that's what I wanted to speak on earlier. I have had extensive conversations with different people who wanted to coach me, right? And they're like, oh, tell me more. And you can tell when somebody's trying to coach you because they ask you 1,000 questions, right? So they were trying to position themselves to coach me, a couple of these people. And when I asked a powerful question, I'm a straight shooter. I'm very direct. I'm like, so do you have a coach? Who's your coach? And they're like, oh, well, no, not at the moment, as a matter of fact. And then they pivot and go in a different direction and start kind of not answering the question thoroughly. And I'm like, let's go back to that, right? So I don't really dive into it with somebody very much, but I just don't hire them. It's just that simple. I just won't, as a rule of thumb, as a principle, I don't hire a coach unless they have a coach. And I think as leaders, we all need to be leading, right? And that means we are being coached by someone. And as a leader, you also want to be coaching other people. And if you're not going to coach people for money, at least mentor people, right? At least take people under your wing and be a mentor, right? Because we all need to be pouring into other people, whether you want to charge for it or not. A lot of people say, I'm not a consultant, I'm not a coach. Okay, well, I hope you're at least a mentor. So very important to consider that.
Yeah,
I agree.
So that's unleashing your leadership skills when you're not looking for the money aspect of it, but you're looking to help somebody grow in their field. Reminds me of Robert Kiyosaki when he had his dad and his regular dad and his rich dad, right? His poor dad and rich dad, and his rich dad never asked for money, but he taught him the principles of money. He taught him so many incredible lessons that he actually wrote a book about his dad, the rich dad, right? And then he also wrote about how much he loved his regular dad, who was broke. And he was a scholar. He was a very smart individual, but he didn't have the know-how of money. So do you want to go with somebody who is knowledgeable in the skill that you want, or who's just knowledgeable? I'll leave it there.
Mic drop, mic drop.
Well, there's always people that's more knowledgeable in other areas than we are. So I think I'm not hiring a coach unless they have a coach is becoming a golden rule in the coaching world, because it is kind of hard to trust somebody that thinks they know it all, and whether they say it or not having a mentor or a coach or a mastermind group of their own is kind of, one, it's hypocritical for what they're trying to do, and two, it lets me know that they feel that they've stopped growing. So I think it's absolutely important, the mentorship piece. As we're pouring into each other, we're getting poured into. But if somebody's like, I know enough about finances to save and do a little bit of investing, but I am by no means a financial advisor. So I have a finance coach. I spent 23 years in the Marine Corps, and I'm a little knowledgeable about physical fitness, but I also have a health and fitness coach because I'm not a doctor. I'm not a physician. So I need people to do blood work and test things and look at me on different levels that I can't do, that I don't have the experience doing. So it is absolutely crucial to find those duty experts and put them in your network.
I got to say that sometimes somebody may come in wearing golden robes or suitcases full of money. And I love Robert Kiyosaki. I think what he stands for was incredible. Unfortunately, I sat with him and Donald Trump. We were sitting at a table, and it was both of them pitching me Donald Trump's university. And it just sounded way too good to be true. And I am just so happy that my intuition was dead on, that I wish I would have stayed in touch with Robert Kiyosaki, but I didn't, because it was leaving a bad taste in my gut, if you will, because I already swallowed it and it didn't do good in my gut. So that point where I would have loved to have done business with Robert, but not in the context of what he was asking me to do. So at that point, I had to just like say, thank you guys. I really appreciate you. Shake their hands. We spent about 45 minutes chatting. And then I said, I think I'm going to go the other way. So, but their goal was to hook me in, but it wasn't fully there and I didn't see it. And either one of them worth millions, right? Trump was worth billions at the point, and it was in Trump's not hotel. It was in his place on the West Coast, west side of the city, and it was really interesting when we're sitting at this big, humongous place that he put together, and I could see the vision, right? So my gut feeling was saying, "Don't do this deal." So at that point, I walked away from it. But sometimes it's not what's necessarily presented inside by other people, by a coach who you say, I would love to work with them. Either one of them would have guided me to make more money, but it didn't feel holy enough for me. So I walked away from it. And I got to tell you, I'm a better off person today than if I would have done it. Just thought I'd share that with you guys.
That's a great point, and I keep jumping on here, and I'll be quiet after this one. But a lot of times, as leaders, and whether you're in business or not, as a leader, as a coach, whatever you're doing, you can't be scared to walk away from the deal. Robert Greene wrote the books 48 Laws of Power, 33 Strategies of War, the Law of the Sublime, all these different. You got some Robert Greene back there. Robert Greene wrote some phenomenal books, but he also wrote a book in conjunction with 50 Cent called The 50th Law. And the 50th Law talks about being fearless, to where you get that gut reaction. You sometimes you just got to wait from the deal, walk away from the deal, whether you feel like it's true or not. And that comes with intuition and experience, to be able to say, thanks, but no thanks, guys. I gotta step away from this one. No harm, no foul. But had you just gone along with it because you lacked the courage to say no, you could be caught up into something that left you in financial turmoil.
Yeah, and so that's why so many people did lose out because they went with it. Right.
So I got to chime in on this decision-making thing because I say this all the time. Anybody who knows me knows. Let me clarify. Anybody who knows me that has been on the other end of a sales conversation with me knows that this is what I say, right? And I say this because it's true. Like, my philosophy in decision making, very simple, and this comes back to leadership as well, is leaders are usually decisive, right? They have the ability to make executive decisions, right? It doesn't mean you have to make it on the spot. It just means you have the ability to make executive decisions. Too many people out there are very indecisive. They're just like, teetering on the line. I'm not sure. I need to overthink and overanalyze and shoot it from many different angles. And so it's really, for me, I'm like a bullet train in Japan, right? My train moves very quickly in everything that I do. That's part of my secret sauce to success, is being able to make executive decisions very quickly. So I have learned over time, and eventually I bought a book called Hell Yeah or No. I bought that book, Hell Yeah or No, because I've been playing that for years. I said I might as well buy it and use it as a prop when I'm having a conversation, right? Because what I have found is whenever I say yes or no to something, if somebody is pitching me something, whether it's personal or professional, right? I don't care if it's inexpensive or super expensive. I will filter it through my, who I am as a person. I will ask myself, is this timely? Is it in alignment with what I'm doing in my life right now? Do I have the bandwidth? Do we have similar values? I just look at a bunch of things, and I can process this very quickly. And if I felt compelled to say, hell yes, I'm in, sign me up, then you're going to get a fast yes from me. If I don't feel that inner drive and that inner gut instinct to say, hell yes, then it's an automatic no. Okay, so I don't kick things around. I will just give you a yes, or I'll give you a no, but I'll give it to you quick. Right. And I learned this whole mentality because I have made many poor decisions over the years. Right. I have signed up for things that I shouldn't have signed up for. I have spread myself too thin. I have bought many things that are a firm grip on an empty sack, and I've realized, and I've been burned a number of times in different capacities, whether it's a coach, a community, or a product or a service or an event, you name it. Right. So over time, as we develop this skill and this art of making executive decisions, we tend to get better and better and better. And eventually it gets to the whole idea of chapter 8 in Think and Grow Rich, talks about decision, right? You start to get really good at making executive decisions, and very seldomly do you go back and say, oh, I made a poor decision. No, because you tend to learn how to trust your gut, and your gut starts to get better and better and better instinctually, and then you read through the lines and you start making great decisions. So now I decide very quickly, and very seldomly do I go back and say that was a poor decision, right? But I think it's important to be able to make executive decisions.
Yeah. I think everybody's been burnt with the decisions that we've made. I mean, we've come home with something we bought at the store, and we're like, why did I buy this? Because I listened to that salesperson. Oh my God, I don't even need this, right? So how many times have we done this, right? But you become either skilled or burnt, and the more burnt you get, you either become a sucker and you have all these things in your house that you don't need,
Mhm.
or you start to resell them and say, I don't need them anymore. I'm not buying this anymore. And then you go into the simplistic type of life where only the things that matter will walk through the front door. Right?
Yeah.
Sifu, you remember Blockbuster, right? Who remembers Blockbuster? Raise a hand,
Oh, yeah.
everybody. So I remember in the Blockbuster line or in Best Buy or at the grocery store, wherever you are, there's always this like compulsive buy line or compulsive buy things on shelves. All the
Yeah.
things that you don't, that they conveniently put right in front of your face so that you're going to end up picking up more than you actually came to buy. Right. So I can't tell you how many times I have filled up a cart off of things that I did not come there for because it was just right in front of me. I was like, ooh, that looks good. Oh, I could use that. Oh, I forgot I need that. And I started like doing all these things. So it got to the point where my wife, whenever we would go to stores, she would just grab my head like this and be like, Jose, look straight. Don't look at anything. Just look
Mhm.
straight. So I rarely buy those things now.
You know, when Blockbuster went out, I was in the shopping center. I had a store in the shopping center, and they closed, but they had a sale. You can buy any tape like for 50 cents. I went there, got a box, and got all these tapes back when it was tapes, right? I mean, CDs, right? And it was pretty interesting. I got so many movies, I started giving them away. But then here's the cool thing that happened. When Blockbuster fully went out, the store was empty for about 8 months. I asked the landlord, can I use the frontage of that store? And I covered the whole store with my signs. So I benefited from them going out because I got a lot of business because they had big windows. You couldn't see inside because my signs were on their windows. So
Mhm.
sometimes when you see an opportunity, and that's leadership right there, take it, right? Because nobody said to me, hey, you should go over there. The landlord never came over and said, hey, by the way, would you like to put your signs up in these windows? It's gonna be empty. I took the opportunity. So I had to lead myself. And we talked earlier about leading yourself. We need to lead ourselves in certain areas, right? We need to find out what makes sense and what doesn't make sense when we do anything in our lives, because our lives are here and they go away really quick, right? If you look back in history, somebody goes, oh yeah, they lived to be 78, they lived to be 98, they lived to be this much. But what did they do with their life? So every minute you should occupy it with not how great I am, but what can I contribute?
And
Something
that's
I
why
think,
that time philosophy. Go ahead, Kelly. I'm sorry.
okay. Something I think every great leader has that relates to decision making and intuition and having good ideas is a morning routine. I'm sure
Mm,
you guys all have a morning routine, right? Because when
absolutely.
you get up and you set aside awesome. You get up and you set aside time just for you to connect with God, connect with yourself. Oh my gosh, I love it, you guys. Do some meditation, do some exercise, take care of yourself first thing in the morning. Doesn't your day always go better? Don't you always have better intuition? Don't you always make better decisions on those days?
It's
That's it.
calibration.
Total key to leadership. Morning routine.
Oh
I'm
gosh.
just sharing some incredible books. This was by Robert Lee and his buddy Reverend Samuel David.
Nice.
That's the last book in the series, right? I haven't gotten to that one, but it's on my to-do list. Um, so when you talk about morning routine,
Mhm.
everybody in the world has a morning routine. Which is the one that's serving them the
That's a
most?
good point.
Yeah. Which one's most effective?
Yes. Intentional or not intentional?
Yes.
Mm,
Or default. Some of them are by default.
yeah. Those aren't always as
Where's
effective.
my
Yeah.
coffee?
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah. They don't use an alarm clock. They don't know where they're going.
I was just coaching a group of young teenagers, ages from 14 to 17, earlier this morning. And one of the first things I have here is, and you're not really supposed to be talking about this in the public domain, but I still talk about praying and stuff because it's their choice if they want to or not. And
Right.
So I always, it says pray or meditate first thing in the morning to start your day off talking with God and listening in silence. The world will get loud and busy, but clarity is found in the stillness.
Love that.
Yep.
So
With
important.
that in mind, let's all take a look at this.
Hi, my name is Jose Escobar, and I'm the founder and CEO of the Connected Leaders Academy. We're a growing tribe, a community of entrepreneurs all over the world, globally, all across the country, high performers, titans of industry. If you're an entrepreneur and you're looking to grow personally and professionally, scale your influence, develop your skill sets, move the needle in your business, more clients, more money, more profit, the bottom line, and of course, grow your circle and your network like never before, this is where you want to be. Join the Connected Leaders Academy today. We are scaling massively. We want to welcome you in. Check me out on Instagram and on Facebook, the @ JASCO25. We look forward to having you join us. Take care.
Yes, proud member of the Connected Leaders Academy. Sometimes I'm so proud I kind of come on the calls and I say I'm Jose, but I'm not. I'm Jose B. So when we live a life of leadership, it is about how we conduct ourselves in all areas of our life. I think it's whether in the morning, before you go to sleep, at dinner, with your family, with your friends, when you're at a store, when you go to Target, when you go to whatever store that you go to, when you go to the supermarket, what are you choosing in your life? How do you interact with other people? When you go to church, when you go to mass, when you go anywhere, when you congregate with anyone, how do you show up? I think all of those things make us leaders, because I believe a true leader leads even in private.
Your habits follow you, no matter what you do. Whatever integrity is what you do when no one is looking. My dad taught me that when I was 13.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
So,
And leadership's really not a choice, because at a minimum, you are leading yourself every day. If you're leading yourself in a positive or negative direction, we always look at leadership like it's an option to lead. At a minimum, you're leading yourself. So it's really not an option. You have to get better at it if you want a good quality of life and you want to be effective and find your purpose.
Mhm.
no doubt about it. Mm-hmm.
You can even lead yourself to a fast food restaurant or a healthy food restaurant. So you have a choice, right? We all have choices. I think that the caliber of leadership is based on the choices we make as a leader.
Yes.
How we spend our time shows you what kind of leader you are. We all get 24.
And that's exactly it.
I get
was kind of
36. What do you mean? You get 24? That's all you get?
You're in the bonus round.
I wish
Somehow
like
I squeezed those 36. You know, I was up at 4 this morning. No alarm clock, no nothing. I went to work out. I did all my thing before people even were waking up.
That's a key
reading my
too.
Bible, all these things. So lead yourself, but with intention, right?
Yes, and awareness.
Mm-hmm.
Testing. Can you guys hear me? Let me know if we can
Yes,
hear me.
sir.
We're
Yes,
good?
yes.
Okay. I'm experiencing some tremendous lag, so I don't want to cut anybody off. If I'm doing that, it's because I'm behind in I see my hand 5 seconds later. But anyway, with that being said, I have a quick point I want to make, and just as at least as a parting thought on my side when it comes to leadership, and that is that we are leaders not to just have power, but to empower others, right? It's about empowering other people. It's about inspiring other people. It's about influencing other people to tap into their best selves, right? Leadership, again, begins with self. So don't look at leadership as just the power that you have in terms of authority and your position and title. Look at it as the responsibility to empower others. right? We are here to empower others, to equip others, to show them the way, right? To show them the way. And sometimes that means you got to be on the front lines. You got to be the one on the battlefield. You got to be the one in the trenches. You got to be the one doing the thing to say, hey, look at me, follow me because I'm doing the thing. Not like, hey, you should do this, but I'm not doing it, but you should do it, right? Remember, your actions speak so loudly, I hear not what you say. I'll say that one more time. Your actions speak so loudly, I hear not what you say. So we need to be leaders on the front end. And remember, we don't know who's watching. We don't know who's watching. Sometimes the people that are watching your leadership are in your very home. So I cannot be online coaching people or doing a seminar or going to this event and being streamed live on social media and doing this talk on leadership and empowerment and influence and the importance of being your best self. And then I come home and my kids see me pounding down a 12-pack on my couch doing nothing and just, you know, living life in a very lousy way, right? I have to make sure that I am genuine, authentic, and transparent and real at all times, no matter where I am. Leadership is an all the time thing, not when you feel like it thing. So that's where I'll leave it. And remember, if you do not see the herd, I had a mentor of mine who told me this one time. He said, Jose, if you do not see the herd, you're in it. So start leading and let people follow you in the direction of empowerment.
Love that.
Good point.
Great. What an incredible show we've had today. Wow, I am so blessed to have you all here with us. What I'd like to do now is give everybody about 45 seconds. If you can share why somebody needs to connect with you. And guess what, everybody? You need to connect with these people. They're incredible. Kelly, you're up first, my friend.
All right. If you have a message that you know you need to share and you don't know where to start, I wrote a workbook that walks you through it all by yourself. If you need more help, you can contact me. But the workbook is amazing, and you can get it at speakingcoachkelly.com/workbook.
Love it. Make sure you get that workbook. We all need the workbook. I think I'll get a copy myself.
Okay.
Robert, so Sergeant Major Rob, if you can go, but you don't have a website going up, you're going to tell us about where people can connect with you.
Absolutely. You can hit me up on Robert Lytle on all things social media, to include LinkedIn. Just the name Robert Lytle. The bottom line is I don't really have a website. It's because I pick my clients through networks like this. So when I meet people, when my network is so large, I don't need leads. I don't need, I'm out here amongst the people, and there's plenty of work to be done. So I'll find you. If you can DM me on any of those platforms, and I'll definitely respond. But the bottom line is I run a business called the Lytle Leadership Firm. And with this technology, we can help anybody no matter where we are. But the reason it's the firm instead of an organization is because it's like a law firm. You get me. There's no agents. I'm coming to you. I'm coming to your organization. I'm looking at it from the lens of my expertise, and I'm going to help you solve problems.
Love it. Make sure you connect with him, right? Robert Lytle, Lytle. Do that. Go find him. And, you and I are going to stay connected for sure. And, Jose's going to jump in on that bandwagon. And Robert Lee's going to jump on that bandwagon. And Kelly K is going to jump on that bandwagon. So we're all connected.
The network just got bigger.
That's it. It keeps growing, right? Every day when you connect with incredible people. Robert Lee, you're up next, my friend.
Well, again, just an honor to be on the panel and have a great conversation with great new friends, and always consider it a privilege. Again, I'm just a small little part of the body of Christ, but the Witness Partner series is a great read. 6-book series on the end times when Enoch and Elijah, God's two witnesses, show up, and so it's just a great journey for those who want a great read. And we're actually going to be working to get this on the Wonder Project, where the House of David is being shown. I actually had some contact with someone who knows them over the last week, and so we're moving in that direction. So it's going to be a long journey, but one that'll be worthwhile, and very excited for that. So look forward to whatever God has in store. So
I gotta say, Robert Lee, when that happens and you need to get on the red carpet, and if you need some protection,
yes.
I will be there to help.
There we go.
And Jose is really good at that pose.
Yes.
I don't know if you've seen it. We got some good pictures of him in that pose.
Yeah.
Jose, you're up, my friend.
Yeah. Robert, I'd be happy to be an extra in any films that you've got.
Yes.
Okay?
Oh,
I can be
and we will. We will need them. We will need them. Yes.
I don't want to be extra. I want to be extraordinary. But
Yes.
Go ahead, Jose.
So on my end, Jose Escobar, I'm in Maryland, based in Maryland. I'm the founder and CEO of Connected Leaders Academy. If anybody out there has a business, you're an entrepreneur and looking to get on more podcasts, more stages as a speaker, leads, referrals, collaborations, endorsements, more clients, more revenue, lifelong friends with growth-minded entrepreneurs at a national and global level, then let's have a conversation. You can check out my website, connectedleadersacademy.com. We have some amazing people there. As a matter of fact, today I made a formal announcement on my social media channels. We have officially, as of last night, hit all 50 states. So the Connected Leaders Academy, as of today, has 555 members. We're in every single state across the entire country here in the U.S., and we're in 36 international countries. If you are thirsty for more in your business, be around some movers and shakers, reach out to me. Let's connect. Would love to have a virtual coffee with you. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Do it. It's the best decision I've ever made, for sure. And, I'm doing what he said. So I am Sifu Rafael, and I got to tell you, God has put it in my heart to help as many people as I possibly can, to help you reset, restore, and rise, whether that's through your health, your communication, or the way you just show up in leadership. For me, it's not about adding more to who you are. It's about helping you be clear as to who you are. And I have a proven system that fuels your purpose without burning you out. I'm here to serve you by helping you unlock the discipline, energy, and mindset that already lives inside of you. Show up stronger for you, for your family, for your community, and definitely for your own mission. So do so. Connect with all of us. Look at this. We have a panel of extraordinary people who are here to help you and guide you in any way you need. And what a smorgasbord, if you will, of incredible leaders. So thank you, everybody, for being here with us. Any comments? Last word, everybody. Go, one at a time.
Have a blessed weekend in the Lord.
Love that.
I love it. Do what scares you.
Remember, leadership is a privileged opportunity to help somebody else reach their full potential. Don't waste it.
And because I have children, happy Halloween. But also,
Happy Halloween.
but also remember, the life you desire is at the end of your own arm. Create the life you want today.
Yes. Live your life like it depends on it, because
Yes.
it does, and people depend on you. God bless everybody. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and we will see you next time. If you want to hang out with me afterwards, hang out. Everybody else, God bless. Take care.